Why was Sanford Meisner so mean? I get asked that one, right? Why was he so mean? Ready? Sanford Meisner was not mean. He was fair. He had standards. He once said, I will not let you take this any lighter than I do. I will not bend my standards or compromise my integrity for anyone. So don't you ever be late for this class. Don't you ever be late for this class. How can you possibly be late for your dream? There's Sandy right there. He had standards. He cared passionately about truthful work. He wanted us all to work. He wanted us to be successful. But he knew that talk's cheap. And most people don't really want to be actors. They want to be famous. They don't want to be actors. So they want this at too cheap a price. He was fond of saying, you can't buy your chair here. You got to earn it. I have the same policy at my studio. So you'll hear, I always joke too, ready for this, that if there was Yelp when Sandy taught, he'd probably have 2 stars, 3 stars. He definitely would have, people would rip him. There were people ripping him who got tossed from class. Everybody who got tossed went out just, kicking and screaming and calling Sandy horrible things, and he's mean, and he hates women, he hates dudes, he's this, he's that, he's that. That was all bullshit. Victims need cheerleaders and enablers. So it happens to me. When I remove a student, they don't believe me because they've been a dog, they're not practicing, they're treating their partner crappy. For whatever reason, they're not making the class better, much less the studio. They're making it worse. And I give them a chance to turn it around, but if they don't, I remove them. And rarely do they just go, yeah, you're right, yeah, and own it. Rare. Typically, they'll turn on me. They'll either do it within the class, trying to get other classmates. Jim's really this. Remember the time he did that? And they'll just do to try to divide and conquer, to try to get somebody to come with them, to side with them, because victims, not people that own their shit, victims need cheerleaders and enablers. Or they do it publicly. They'll trash you social media. They'll trash you on Yelp or Google. What are you going to do? You sit there and counter and go, okay, dear Yelp people reading this, the person that just wrote this review was consistently late. They did, and vomit all the stuff, their stuff. Of course not. You take the high road. It is what it is. I've always said that those mediums are a necessary evil if you're running a business. But I can tell you that we only have a few really negative reviews. Every single one of them, I would love to address and offer some context. But anyway, why was he so mean? Why? Well, because you're lazy. Because you are insulting me. I'm talking as if I were Sandy. You're trying to throw this exercise together and just walk in here. Here's a wonderful teaching. There was a guy in our class. His name was Tommy. He's a really good-looking surfer dude, deadhead guy. Every deadhead concert, he's constantly high, I think. Probably came high to class, honestly. And Sandy liked him because the guy was really incredibly charming. He was hard to not like. So I'd say that his charm got him further along than he should have. But anyway, one day in class, second or third class in a row of the same weak-ass effort, same mistakes. Sandy was fond of saying, mistakes are good. Don't worry about making mistakes, but don't make the same mistake. If I taught you last class, if I gave you a note, go fix it. That's what technique is. It's knowing how to fix it. So he would really get upset if you brought in the same mistake next class. Make another mistake. No problem. So anyway, this guy, it was, I think, probably the third class in a row of the same weak effort. The activity lacked urgency. It lacked creativity. It was just thrown together. And Sandy was going off on him. He was heating him up. And he's being, again, fair, but he was just letting him go, what are you doing? Why are you wasting my time? Why are you even in here? I mean, my God, this and that. And finally, Tommy looked at Sandy and he says, well, Sandy, you do say it takes 20 years to be an actor. And he said it with like a smile, like a little, not a smirk, but just like, casually. Well, you say it takes 20 years to be an actor. And Sanford Meisner snapped out of his chair, took his cane and slapped it on the table. The cane breaks in half. And he's pointing it. I mean, a sharp end. He's not going to hurt him, but he's pointing it at him. So let's do it again one more time. The guy goes, Sandy, you say it takes 20 years to be an actor. Boom. That's if you work hard. Man, I swear. There's so many moments like a plasma screen that are just burned in my memory forever, but I'll never forget that moment. Because I'll tell you what, it took my game to a whole new level, and I was already working hard. If I'd give myself a grade, it would have been A at that point, and I went to an A+ for the rest of the training. Yeah. Takes 20, that's if you work hard. So Sandy wasn't mean. He was demanding. He had standards. He cared passionately. He was trying to prepare us to go work in the most competitive profession on the planet. He knew that this was not for the faint of heart or the weak of heart. You had to do your shit together. You have to pack smart for this dream. You got to be ready. And he was getting us ready. And so he was demanding. But if any of you have played a lot of sports, there's demanding coaches that are jerks, and there's demanding coaches that are incredible. And Sandy was the latter. He was somebody that demanded your best, period. Demanded your best, but was fair about it, was equitable. And of course, when you brought it, celebrated it beyond words. So I just wanted to address that. That comment came in recently, and it's just not the case. Okay, keep them coming. These questions from you guys are my favorites. And of course, the usual comments and subscribe and share, okay? But most of all, help me just keep the community engaged by your support. I greatly appreciate it, okay? I'll see you soon.